Yo, it's Marco Catania again on behalf of Charles Sturt University. Again, delivering a study aid, and this one is covering the goals and objectives of the volume service transition. Yes, you're looking at the service lifecycle model again. We started in service strategy, we worked our way towards service design, and via the so-called service design package, the blueprint of our new service, we're now moving into service transition space. Okay, and service transition is all about like managing change. So what does it say on the slide here? It says service transition goals. So this is what we're aiming for if we're reading the volume service transition. It says to assist organizations seeking to plan and manage service changes and to deploy service releases into the production environment successfully. So just highlighting some words, it's about planning, it's about managing changes, it's about deploying a number of changes together, also known as releases. So we're covering like a whole bunch of processes all within service transition. It's all about like moving from A to B and moving from the old environment to the new environment in like the smoothest way possible. So you want to make sure that your new services are properly tested, do have the right documentation. You want to make sure you've got the proper quality checks in place before you give the final green light and actually go live. So what are the objectives of service transition? Well, it says here to plan and manage the change related resources, which are, well, the builders, the testers, independent testers, people implementing the systems, people reviewing the systems and services, the hardware included, the software included, the accommodation, everything really. The training, the documentation, the early life support, the handover, everything needs to be catered for. And there's nothing worse than being in a scenario where the hardware has arrived, the people are there to do the work, but the software, for whatever reason, hasn't arrived as yet because someone forgot to place the order. And that means in the end, we can't actually roll out the service to the customers. We want to minimize unpredicted impacts. And that typically means like we need to test, we want to make sure that the new system slash the new service is really going to deliver against the expectations and the needs of the business, IT and the partners. Again, if you plan properly, in the end, less things will go wrong, and you will have like less interruptions with the business, and less interruptions with IT, and less interruptions with the partners, and therefore everyone should become a little bit like happier out there. So in the end, really, it's also about customer satisfaction. Now, service transition is quite like a big volume, okay? It includes like a whole bunch and it covers a whole bunch of topics. So therefore we've got some more objectives here. It says here to increase proper use of services. If you ever seen organizations where like hey, you roll out a new system and you start delivering a new service, but no one actually has like received any training, or there is no proper documentation, where like the teams all go like, oh, documentation like mañana, tomorrow, not right now. We're finished with the system. Use it. Documentation will come in 3 months from now. Of course, that will never happen. So again, it's about ticking all the boxes. You want to make sure before you like go like, hey, service, you're now live. You want to make sure you've checked all the boxes, you've got the documentation, you've done proper communication, you've delivered proper training, the handover has been like authorized and signed off by the various stakeholders. So you want to make sure you've got your act together. It says here to provide plans that align customer and business change projects with the service transition plans. And there's lots of stuff happening in IT, but come on, there's also lots of stuff happening in the business, and these two worlds, they need to come together. For example, if the business, if they're going to do, for example, a completely refurbishment of like an office somewhere, Well, that's a fantastic opportunity, for example, for IT, for example, to upgrade the cabling infrastructure. These things can be combined, okay? Also, if the customer has some specific needs, or for example, it's like end of financial year, then typically the customer does not want IT to make changes to the financial systems, because if something goes wrong, they can't create their end of financial year reports. So the two need to come together. They need to inform each other, and they need hopefully also to schedule their changes together in one overall schedule that is available to both IT and the business. Here's another practice what you preach exercise that allows you to take some of the theory to take it into the real world. It says here, as a service transition manager, you've been given the task to upgrade the business critical ERP service, Enterprise Resource Planning Service, with the latest up-to-date functionality. In other words, the business wants you to go to the latest version. So what's on your mind besides the following two items? It says here, for example, okay, if we need to release a new version, we want to make sure we are updating all the relevant documentation. We may have to update some procedures, we may have to update some work instructions. That needs to be done. Also, we want to make sure we do proper appropriate testing, especially like a user acceptance test, a proper performance test, a proper regression test before we actually go live. These are just two questions you should be thinking of, because the aim is all about creating a smooth transition from the old environment to the new one. So ask yourself a whole bunch of questions and make a whole bunch of statements that will allow you to achieve that objective of making a smooth transition. Here's a sample question. It says, one of the main objectives of service transition is what? Answer A. Designing the blueprint for a new service and supporting systems. Answer B. Realizing the outputs of the service design package into the live environment. Answer C. Providing operational support for the new service and supporting systems. And last but not least, answer D. Providing a smooth move from the new environment to the old environment. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about the answer. Okay, well, maybe answer D looks okay, but typically we don't want to go backwards, okay? Don't want to go, it shouldn't be one of our objectives to move back from the new environment to the old environment. The objective should really be realizing the outputs of our blueprint, our SDP, into the live environment. That's what service transition is all about. So what's next? Well, in the next topic we're going to look at the value and the benefits that the service transition volume has to offer to your organization. Okay? Hey, live long and prosper. See you later, alligator, and rock around, crocodile.